I'll say that at the beginning, like he definitely would it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Hello and welcome to The Agenda from Blood Red. I'm Dan Austin, this is Joel Rabinowitz. We are from Liverpool.com and we're here on the YouTube channel today to talk about the Ballon d'Or, Joel, the winner of which will be announced on Monday. Firstly, we'll get into the 7 Liverpool players who've been nominated for the award in a few minutes, but there's been a leak and basically everyone knows that Lionel Messi is going to win the Ballon d'Or. We'll talk about who our preferences would be in terms of Liverpool players in a second, but everyone pretty much knows now for certain that Lionel Messi is going to win. The betting odds have totally changed. Virgil van Dijk was the favourite. It's hard really to argue, isn't it, that the best player who's ever played football wins his 6th Ballon d'Or, because he is very good.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that much. I think a lot of Liverpool fans will be disappointed, and I think if you go back to kind of the start of a season when Van Dijk was the favourite, you could have put a very credible case forward. I still think you could, but I don't think you can be too angry about Messi winning it. You look at his stats from last season, so I think he scored 51 goals in all competitions last season, which by his standards is considered like a subpar season. Which kind of says everything really. You know, when Salah got 44 in his first season for us, and that was something completely unprecedented, and then Messi in just a sort of average year is getting 51. And I think you looked up his calendar year stats before, and I think he's on 39 in the calendar year this year. And I was actually surprised. I kind of thought quite a lot of them would be penalties, but I think he's only scored 4 or 5 penalties this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think you can argue with that much. Yes, we beat them in the Champions League last season. He won La Liga, and they didn't win their domestic cup. And I think they're top on goal difference at the moment.
But to me, that proves how good he is, though, because Ernesto Valverde is a very unpopular Barcelona manager.
But it seems like he's dragging him through a lot.
Yeah, they've got a lot of players, a lot of expensive players that aren't really working. Coutinho's already left. Dembele's never quite worked out. Yeah. It's not going very well for Griezmann yet. It really is, for the first time in his career, I think, basically just Lionel Messi making them work. Even Suarez has tailed off an awful lot in terms of output.
I think it's strange because quite often we talk about these awards. Obviously, it's kind of to do with individual contribution, but your team has to do well as well to win it. You can't just be a great player for a team who's not winning stuff. But I think in this case, the fact that Barcelona are going through a kind of, by their standards, quite a kind of poor period with quite a lot of kind of problems in their team, the fact that Messi's sort of still keeping them where they are has got to kind of strengthen his case, I think.
Luka Modric was the winner last year. Again, really shows about the importance of playing in a good team. He won the European Cup with Real Madrid. He got to the World Cup final with Croatia. That's a really big part of it. The fact that, well, first of all, he's not even on the 30-man shortlist this time, but Liverpool have got 7 men on the 30-man shortlist. That's the highest of any team. Manchester City are next with 5. To have 7 is an absolutely massive proportion, and really does show that, because there are players on there like Gini, Wijnaldum, who you would sort of think of as underrated in the grand scheme of things. But it's really nice that, although Liverpool have got some unbelievable individual players, and this is an individual award, it's not just the ones that are the most well-known or the most sort of watched around the world, the ones with the highest FIFA ratings or anything like that. It's the ones that have actually been putting the graft in to enable the maybe more talented ones or the more spectacular ones to do the work that are also getting this recognition now. Definitely.
And the fact that it's in every single position basically across the pitch. We've got a goalkeeper in there, a centre-back, a full-back, a central midfielder, and 3 forwards, which is pretty unreal. I can't recall a point in my lifetime where we've had more than 1 or 2 at most nominees for this award. So to have 7 like that, like you said, it's funny with the underrated thing, because I think we'd all kind of generally say someone like Gini Wijnaldum is quite underrated outside the Liverpool sphere, but I don't think we can use that anymore because he's literally just been nominated for the most prestigious individual award. He's not going to win it. He won't get him a top 3, but it's still nice to see him up there alongside the rest of them. And you would hope among the top 3, we've got at least one. Probably Van Dijk, you'd imagine, but I think you're going to make the case for Mane as well. I think he's definitely in contention for that.
I would make the case for Mane. If we didn't know for certain that Lionel Messi was going to win the Ballon d'Or, pretty much, Mane would be my pick for it, because
ahead of Van Dijk.
Ahead of Van Dijk, to be honest, because I think if you take it as the calendar year, which is in theory what the award is supposed to be around, but obviously people don't just forget things that happened before the 1st of January 2019. But if you take it just as the calendar year, for me, Sadio Mane has been the best player on the planet, and his game has improved so much in every facet. He was already a brilliant Liverpool player from when he started, and he scores that brilliant goal at the Emirates in Klopp's first league match of his first full season in 2016. But since Salah arrived and he moved onto the left, he got even better because he was able to duck inside and use his dribbling and be able to kill shots into the far corner. But this season, more accurately this calendar year, he's taken on an extra level of responsibility, I think, in that front three, where he's seen what Mo Salah did in 2018 and gone, I can be more like that. I can put the ball in the net more. I can be the one that my teammates look to a little bit more, because he was already good. He didn't have to go up a level for Liverpool to be a better team. He was already one of the best players in the Premier League, one of the best players in the world, probably without having this further step up. But I think this season, the variety of goals that he scored, he's got 29 in all comps, but the variety of them is what's stunned me the most, because he gets loads of match winners. He gets loads of openers as well. Like he gets a Crystal Palace the other day, even when he's not playing well, and he's playing out of position as well for the first sort of 35, 40 minutes. But he also scores loads of headers. So everyone talks about that goal in the Allianz Arena, the first one, and it is brilliant. I mean, the pass from Van Dijk, because you're going to make the case for Van Dijk, is incredible. You know, the touch, the fact that he just dinks it over Neuer and makes him look a fool is brilliant. But for me, the header, the fact that
forgotten goal,
it really is, because
the pass is brilliant.
The pass is brilliant, but the movement and to connect with the diving header so well is great. He scores a diving header against Man City as well. It's a really underrated aspect of his game, I think.
Villa as well.
Yeah, winning against Villa again is a header. He was brilliant in that turnaround. Full stop. That really was Mane winning us.
It summed him up that game there, really, because I think he, up until about 80, he was having a really frustrating game. Nothing was coming off, and then weak-footed assist, and then 95th minute winner. So
he is, for my money, he's Liverpool's sort of most important player right now to me, I think, and the form that he's been in across the calendar year just makes me think that he's a level above everyone else in his position, because so if I'm talking about, you know, Neymar, Eden Hazard, Sterling, they're compatible players, they play in the same position, and they're all absolutely fantastic and score loads of goals, but none of them win the ball back as much as what Sadio Mane does. How often do you actually see him, like, in his own half at left back, maybe covering for Robertson, who's pushed up the pitch?
It was the Man City game when he was doing that second half, basically playing right back at times, sometimes left back. And he makes sliding tackles with the timing and the precision of an experienced defender. Yeah. And you're thinking, you shouldn't be doing that. Like that's not in theory what your position is, but because Klopp asks him to do that, and because he's learned the techniques over time, he's become, in my opinion, the most well-rounded forward probably in the game. Messi, you know, scores more goals and is clearly more talented. He's the most talented player to ever play the game. But in terms of the way that Liverpool play, you couldn't ask for a better forward from Mane, because he does every little job perfectly. He's completely two-footed as well. I think that's the other thing which kind of doesn't get said enough about him. If you put a compilation of his left-footed goals together, it's unbelievable. And you think, for defenders, that's an absolute nightmare, because you can't show him one side. He's going to hurt you anyway.
Again, a really underrated goal is the one that he just lashes into the roof of the net past Ederson.
Yeah, in and he did it against Burnley as well, I think in the same season. We were playing terribly, and he gets the opening goal just from 20 yards on his left foot.
Right, you make your Van Dijk case then. I've shouted for Mane, you make Van Dijk.
Yeah, so I've already said I don't have a problem with Messi winning it, but I think if that weren't the case and you're picking a Liverpool player, I just think what Van Dijk has done this calendar year and kind of in the first half of last season as well, it's just been beyond anything I've ever seen from a defender. I think probably in the Premier League, I know there's been a lot of kind of teams of a decade coming out recently, and I think both Carragher and Neville had him in there, even though he's only kind of been playing at this level for a really short period of time. But I think he's taken the kind of whole concept of defending up a different level, to the point where you watch a lot of Liverpool games and Van Dijk doesn't actually do that much defending, and I think it's because he's reached a point now where he is so good, and opposition teams are aware he's that good, that they just don't even try going near him. They don't even try that kind of side of a pitch between him and Robertson. And I think I can't remember seeing a defender having that kind of significant an impact. We've seen great defenders play for Liverpool. Carragher in his peak, Sami Hyypiä at times, Matip's kind of been at that level, Agger at times in his peak before his injuries, but none of them even get close to Van Dijk. And that's only talking in terms of his defending. He's obviously so much more than that. You mentioned the Mane goal against Bayern Munich, and he picks out literally onto his toe from 70 yards. And he does that pretty much every game, I think, at the moment. The way he kind of impacts our attacks with those kind of crossfield diagonal balls is just unbelievable. Scored 6 goals, I think, last season. Obviously gets the one at Bayern Munich as well. And just beyond his own individual contribution, his kind of capacity to make everyone feel comfortable and safe when we're under pressure. he's just always there in the right place at the right time. And I think we come to this award, I think probably part of the reason he's not won it is because of, not really due to his own fault, but I think the fact that Messi got that FIFA best men's player tends to kind of impact the Ballon d'Or as well. Some people are saying if he'd won the Nations League with Holland, I'm not sure if that's kind of a...
That can't be, that isn't right.
Doesn't seem like a fair argument. Yeah. But yeah, if you look in terms of Liverpool's defensive record in the league last season, I think that might... It's harsh because I don't think you can put Liverpool's kind of conceding more goals this season down to Van Dijk dropping necessarily. But we are on, I think I saw the other day, we're on our worst run without a clean sheet in 25 years or something, which seems mad because we're only conceding 1 goal a game at the moment, and we're actual... In terms of goals per game conceded, I think we're still on less than kind of 1 goal conceded per game in the league this season. So we're still defending at a really high level, and Van Dijk's obviously massive in that. But I think for a defender to win this award, you have to basically be flawless for an entire year. Whether that's fair or not, I'm not sure. But I think the fact that our numbers haven't been quite as kind of immaculate so far this season probably just seems to have edged them out.
The highest compliment that I can pay to Van Dijk, and I'd love to see this happen. It never will, obviously. But I think there are probably 5 or 6 teams in the Premier League who would be better off if they were able to have Virgil van Dijk and play him up front.
Yeah,
like he's a centre-back, but he's that good a footballer.
We had a conversation in the office the other week. I was saying, I mean, I got some stick for it, but I was saying I wouldn't bet against him getting double figures if you played him up front and a system built around him.
Absolutely, he would. Like, if you think about it, if you were Brighton now...
Or Burnley. Well, I mean, they've got goal scorers in their team,
but
yeah.
Van Dijk would win as many headers as what they'd win. He's a cleaner striker of a football than Chris Wood or Ashley Barnes. He's quicker than them as well. If you think about his sheer athleticism and genuine technique on the ball, I think there are loads of teams in the top divisions around Europe that would look at him and go, yeah, all right, you are a 6'5" centre-half, but... Yeah, if we played you up front, we'd probably have more goals and more points than what we've got right now.
Yeah, it's funny. My one kind of slight gripe with Van Dijk is the fact that we haven't seen him score a 30-yard screamer yet. It's the one kind of thing he hasn't done. And he takes on these shots. You usually get one every few games. And if it's Lovren, the crowd hates it because it's Lovren. And we've seen him blast those balls into the stands. Van Dijk does that frequently. I think he did it... I don't know if it was against... I think he did one against Napoli when he just sort of strides forward and thinks he's going to have a go. And been wanting him to take free kicks as well for a while because he used to score them at Celtic and hasn't done it yet. But that's, yeah, if your only complaint of a centre-back is the fact that he's not scoring from 30 yards out, he's doing something right. So,
well, the best shot he's actually ever taken for Liverpool was the volley that he put into the sky at Anfield that ends up with Divock Origi putting the ball in the net. So if he has more shots like that inadvertently lead to mad goals, then I'm absolutely fine with it as well. He doesn't have to bang them in from 40 yards.
I think the other thing that fascinates me with Van Dijk is the fact that he can be so unbelievably quick whilst looking like he's barely jogging, which I've never seen from a player of his size. He's about 6'5" and he's obviously a unit as well. But there was the game against, I think it was Wolves away last season, or it might have been at Anfield.
I was in the ground. And Adama Traore kept trying to run past him.
Is probably the quickest footballer I've ever seen in terms of sprinting.
Yeah.
And Van Dijk, without even breaking sweat, just completely ended that race before it even began. He's done it against plenty of other players. I think there was a breakaway at Chelsea last season when we drew 1-1 with a Sturridge equaliser, and I think it was Hazard and Willian were kind of both through, and him and Gomez, in fairness, both just sort of strolled back to see sort of 2 defenders doing that. But yeah, it's his sheer athleticism. You must think usually kind of defenders of his size and kind of physical stature, I suppose, can be great readers of a game, massive threats in the air, but you think they're always vulnerable if you can get them one-on-one, whereas, yeah, there's just no chance of getting around him.
The last defender to win the Ballon d'Or was Fabio Cannavaro in 2006. He was obviously the captain of Italy the year that they won the World Cup. It makes you think that if Van Dijk isn't good enough, apparently, to win it now, that no centre-back is ever going to win that award again, probably. So it's no slight on him when the award definitely is given to Lionel Messi on Monday night. Yep. That's all that we've got time for anyway. Let us know in the comments who you would go for if it wasn't going to be Lionel Messi, if you were going to pick a Liverpool player. Maybe you're going to make the case for Gini Wijnaldum, maybe if you be for Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe Bobby Firmino, Salah, any of them. The good thing is that Alisson Becker should be nailed on to win the, I think it's the Lev Yashin Award for the best goalkeeper. So hopefully Liverpool will be coming home with something anyway. But for now, thanks for watching. As I say, me and Joel are from Liverpool.com. It's a really good website that we do Liverpool writing on, so make sure to check it out if you don't already. Also subscribe to Blood Red and press the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. But for now, thanks, all the best, and enjoy your day.